Okay, now we're going into the capital projects and budget discussions, and I'll let Martha lead us through it, and she'll discuss which one you want to start with first.
Okay, I thought this year we might start with our roads department. So, Bill, I may get you to come up and sit up here, please. No. Yeah, I will. Yeah. In front of you, I've given you a bunch of papers. What I would like Bill to do is discuss with you this big, long sheet of paper here. And this is the Asset Management Road Needs Study. So I'm going to pass it over to him to explain a little bit. I think I gave you a big one, eh?
Okay, so as you all know, we did do an asset management study, road needs study, in 2013, and this is the plan that the consultants came up with. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it does explain that we should be spending between $1.8 and $2 million per year just in road capital, which on average we spend, say, $500,000–600,000. So, but it's a benchmark to start with. It's somewhere to start. Then this year, with our capital roads project, so I took everything that didn't get done last year, everything that was on the roads needs study for last year, as well as the road needs study for this year. Road project to be considered for 2015. And then underneath, I put road projects that I would recommend to be looked at to be done this year.
Okay, is there any discussion with regard the recommendation from the Public Works Manager? So we've got St. Augustine, Rapid Road, Snake River Line, Cornerview Road, and Zion Line for a total cost of $903,000. Is there any discussion with regards to those roads? Councillor McLaughlin.
Your rebuild on Cornerview Road, is that resurfaced as well?
It includes the cost of rechipping it, but then we can decide if we do that this year or next year.
Because I think that was brought up last year. It was decided that we'd redo it, but we wouldn't
chip it right away.
Chip it at that time?
Yep. But I put the total cost in what...
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure, because I know what the discussion was last year.
Yep.
And is the money in reserves?
Okay, last year we that project was on the list to be done, and let me just flip through my sheet here to give you the exact number. There it is. Okay, so last year it was on the budget to do a total rebuild at $290,000, and part of the money was going to be part of the funding was going to be coming out of gas tax, as well as the balance of $57,083 was coming out of reserves. So the money is still sitting in gas tax, and we did transfer that amount, the $57,000, over to the roads purpose reserve.
So we've basically covered those costs for 2015 then?
That's right.
What would the cost be if you didn't tar and chip over top and you just did the rebuild without the surface?
It's about $38,000 in savings. It's around $38,000 per kilometer to tar and chip.
And do you recommend that we let it sit for a year?
Yes, because it's being total rebuild. Give it a year to settle, and then if something pops up the next spring, we can fix it, address it before we chip it and have a problem with it.
Yeah. Councillor Olmsted.
I did talk to a number of people from the Hale area. That's what we did in the
Dombrowski Road, yes.
Dombrowski Road.
Yes.
And they unanimously say that's probably one of the best roads we have because we did wait that, I don't know, was it a year we waited?
A year, yes.
Yeah, so apparently that's very good practice.
I would agree. Corner View Road, I think, has been on the books for a while, and there was some issues with Corner View Road a couple of years ago where there was a section that was to be done. So it certainly has been on the budget. I've had some complaints about the road as well. I'd like to see that stay as one of the projects that stay on. It is funded by gas tax, and the money has been put to reserve, and I'd also recommend that we let it sit for a year and do the remainder of that project next year. Is council good with that? Okay, so that's one project. Any discussion on any other project? Councillor McLaughlin.
Well, I guess, and I'll turn this over because St. Augustus, that project was there before. So was the Rapid Road, and so was the Snake River line. Those were all on last year's project.
St. Augusta was.
Probably 2 years ago. Snake River line, I know was.
We took it back off last year, though. Snake River line, yeah. Yeah.
I know 6 years ago it was on. We took it off. We took it off last year as well. It's a project that I think, because it's been 6 years since they've been promised to do, and that's not a big section, is it, Bill?
Yeah, just over 3 kilometers.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And we took it back off last year to get the numbers to balance last year.
Okay, maybe. I wouldn't disagree. I didn't think so, but I know it was 6 years ago it was brought before council at that time, and we took it off. So that's 6 years ago we were going to do it.
I think it's going on every year.
And now we're taking it off again. So.
Reeve Mills?
I was just curious, what's the 3.1 kilometer portion of that on Snake River line?
It would be approximately from the bridge at Snake River back this way, 3.1 kilometers, the worst section.
Okay.
Councillor Olmsted.
May not be the right place, but can you just detail what our agreement is with Abbotston Bromley with respect to that road?
We have an agreement with Abbotston Bromley and Laurentian Valley, so Abbotston Bromley looks after up to Waterview, I believe it is, and then we take over from Waterview and go right to the very far end. And then, so part of that's in Laurentian Valley as well, and then Laurentian Valley looks after Cemetery Road off Greenwood and Beachburg for us, as well as they plow into the industrial park for us as well.
Sure.
So is that for construction or reconstruction and maintenance?
That's never came up. But no, the Snake River line, each person looks after their own, like what they look after. So Abbotston Bromley looks after right from the Cobden Highway out to Waterview, and then we look after construction from there up.
So do we know? Sorry.
Yep. Go ahead.
Do we know? Do they have any section of the road on their plans as well for any resurfacing?
Their section of the road is in pretty good shape. They just redid a bunch of it in the last few years.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Question for you, Bill, is the culvert where the bump sign has been on Snake River Road for about 20 years now, is that culvert going to be replaced?
We would certainly look at that, yes. Either replace it, if it's in good shape, do the frost tapers better.
Okay, and is that included in that costing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my biggest concern, is we don't pave over something that's already a problem. Okay, so is it coming, sorry, Mayor Johnson. Councillor Johnson.
Okay, I just have, like, St. Augustine, that for double surface?
St. Augustine is HL4.
Okay. drainage issues with that road too.
There is, yes.
Just to, so you're aware of that, because it drains right into the church.
Yes. Yeah.
They'd have to have a
Bit of a sub-drain
natural
put
gutter
in.
down through. And,
Yep.
with the traffic that's on there, unless we're really going to push the park, we might get away with double service street on that. Just more or less to keep from having the old girls fall, not the old girls and the old man, but I shouldn't say that. I'm the youngest person there. I do go to that church. But anyway, it's a very narrow street and can be done very narrow too, I believe.
The only problem with doing double surface street to do the asphalt, like to do the gutters and stuff, double surface
Yeah, it really is. That's right.
work that well, so.
I just, and I'm okay with all of that. I'm not in favor of the design line, and I just, for my information, Rapids Road again, what section of Rapids Road?
So we double surface treated from just outside the village out to the end of it.
Right.
Over the last couple of years. So from the Gore line out to where we started the double surface street was to be ripped up and done in HL4 through the village. Because there's asphalt gutters to be put in there as well.
Okay. And Bromley line is not on that, is it?
Up above it is. Or is it? Yes, Bromley line.
Yeah, that to me, that's number one priority. Now, the other question I have is Grant Settlement Road. Because if we're going to address any of that this year, we should be starting at Fortune Falls end and going in and doing it extremely early to try and get it into shape before the competition. So I'm sure it doesn't matter to you which way we start. No.
This is the plan that the consultants laid out. They
I believe they didn't know this competition was coming.
Absolutely not.
And I guess further to that, the railway crossing that's there, has the railway bed been taken out?
No, that's part of the other part of my budget. I have money in there to fix up all the railway crossings.
Okay.
Yep.
So that definitely will be looked at, because that's one of the sections, I mean, that area is the worst. And power line, has that been redone yet, or is that to be done?
That's right. All the railway crossings.
All the
from
railway
CN.
crossings. You need your new sign. Councillor Mackay?
Did the railroad pay for that?
They gave us a lump sum because they weren't getting at it quick enough. And so they came to us and said, you want to do it, here's a lump sum of money. And that's how it worked, yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was $39,000 that we received for all, how many, $29,000? How many crossings do we have? There's Powers, there's Grant Settlement.
There's 5 asphalt and then 3 gravel maybe. Or 5 hard surface,
Yeah.
I think.
So I think they were giving like $5,000 to each paved surface.
Yep.
To all the municipalities that wanted to do it themselves. And then they were giving a portion for the gravel, obviously a lot less.
That was for CN or CN and CP?
No, just the
CN, okay.
Yep.
CP's still in the ground. Has it started to be taken out?
They're all done. The CP's all done, and what they did is they just paved sections just between their tracks.
They already did that,
Yeah.
yep. Councillor Olmsted.
Just for all of us not in the industry, what does double service treatment mean?
So that's what we call chip and dip. It's 2 layers of tar and stone chips. And then HL4 is actually hot mix pave.
Mayor Johnson.
The tar and chip is 5/8 or granular M with emulsion going directly on your gravel. That's added on top. And then more emulsion and then pea stone on the top, 1/4 inch or less. That's why, and they call the top one the float. Correct?
Yeah.
So So for the, just to be clear, the 903,000 that we're looking at now, so we, Corner View is covered, is offset by reserves and gas tax. St. Augustine, is it covered by gas tax or reserves?
Yes, we raised the money in taxation last year, and we put it into reserves.
Yeah.
So yes.
So if we want to take a look as well along this is these sheets, and I believe the highlighted items, Martha had identified those as projects that were identified in 2014, and they were either to be taken out of reserves or they were raised by taxation, and that taxation revenue was transferred to reserves to be used this year for those projects.
Yeah.
So when we go to page 2, Rapid Road, Corner View Road, and St. Augustine Road are covered under those amounts. So I would suggest that at least those 3 projects go ahead this year, because the amounts have been raised by taxes and they have been earmarked. They just didn't get done in 2014. Is everybody good with that? Councillor Olmsted.
Sorry, just so I'm clear on it, is the $232,000 the gas tax money?
Yes. That's the gas tax money, and that is allocated to those projects.
Thank you.
Has that already been filed with the federal gas tax? Yeah. So what you have to do with the federal gas tax is the same as the OSIF grant. You actually have to identify what project you're going to use. They say whether or not it's, the right project, and then you go ahead. So those funds have been identified. So the ones, I guess, that are in question then are Rapid Road, Snake River Line, Snake River Line, Corner View Road, and Zion Line.
Yeah.
Snake River and Zion Line. So I'm in agreement with Mayor Johnson with regards to Zion Line. I understand, and I've voiced this before, I understand in a perfect world that to keep the maintenance going on Zion Line. I'm very disappointed in what has happened to Zion Line from last year. I mean, all the potholes, have been filled, that there were potholes on Zion Line, but a lot of the surface that was to stay on the road is now kind of off the road, and you're actually physically seeing the patch jobs that were done prior to that surface being done last year. So it's as if the whole thing has come right off the road. I don't know, I know it was done later on, maybe we didn't have enough heat to do it, to actually make it stick, but the one benefit that did happen last year is I would agree that the potholes have been filled in, because there was a few big ones, and they stayed, they didn't recreate. But a lot of that surface has actually come off, and you can actually see the patch jobs. So I don't think you guys have patched since it was done.
I don't know, but I can have the company that did it come back and check it for warranty work too.
I think that needs to be done because you can really see it come through.
Yep.
It doesn't look like anything stayed on top. The one thing that I guess and wasn't addressed is there's the culvert closer to Beachburg Road that I don't know if it needs to be replaced. There was a bump sign there for about 2 years. Not a bump sign, but cones.
Yeah, we have a liner to go in there that's already paid for.
Okay.
Just last year, the other one.
So that's going to go in this year?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the bump that's further on, the bump that's further on up the hill, going up the hill, the bump sign's been there for...
Right at Sturgeon Mountain.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any way we can smooth that out, or if the sign is just going to stay there forever. Probably the sign's going to stay there forever. Looks like it. There's no culvert there or anything that's caused that?
I guess the main thing is it's a change in material, goes from sand ground to clay land.
Okay.
And the 2 different materials heave at different rates, and that's the problem there.
Okay. Perfect. Mayor Johnson.
I can tell you exactly why it's there. Someday I'll tell you exactly why it's there. We moved it down the hill 100 yards, in metric 130 meters. It's a long story.
Okay, any discussion with regards to Snake River Line and Zion Line? Any further discussion? Mayor Johnson?
I just, I agree with Charlene. There's, as much damage this spring as there was last spring, even with the overlay. And, I don't know if Greenwood will do anything about it. I don't know that they can. But there was a 2-year space in the building of Zion Line. And so I think if we can use that money, even if we wait 2 more years, the lower end of it is very good yet. And, like there's not a lot of cracks, some lateral splitting, but you're gonna get that, doesn't matter what you put down. So I think that we should use that money in a different location.
Councillor Regier?
I would agree with just coming onto the Snake River Line. We took that off last year, so I would like to see that remain here. I think that is one road that's in very bad shape, so I would like to see that definitely remain.
Yeah. Councillor Olmsted?
I think with the amount of commitment and work going into this 2015 World Championships, I think that could be one road that's going to benefit probably the most taxpayers this year. What is the total length of that road? Probably like 13, 15 kilometers, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is off the top of my head. It's long.
Yeah. That may be one road that we may want to move up on the priority list just because of what's coming. And the traffic count, I'm sure, is going to go through the roof for that 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Probably all summer with the amount of work that's going to be done down there too, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is we won't be able to do like the full section, but the worst section, I think Mayor Johnson has identified with regards to from Forsters Falls Road into probably Rapid Road and
Rafters Road, sorry.
Rafters Road, thank you. I get those mixed up all the time. And that would include doing that railway crossing as well, which we have approximately $5,000 to do to fund towards it. Is there any availability of any more gas tax funding for that portion?
Well, we have not used the 2014 gas tax yet. So we can use, if you look on your reserve sheet that I passed everybody out, there is funding there, like you can use that one, as well as this year's 2015 gas tax allotment as well. You know,
McLaughlin?
I'm just wondering, on these budgets, Bill, are those contracted out? Okay, because that's where we ran into problems last year. We didn't have manpower, and that's why these jobs were put off, so.
That's part of it, yes. Also with the weather we had last year.
No, I'm just saying that put the two together.
Yep.
So, we don't have the manpower to do it ourselves. That's what I'm coming towards. Is that correct?
Right.
Councillor Olmsted?
So just to be clear, of the $903,000, we have $379,000 already been earmarked, either in the 2014 reserves or gas tax money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Which leaves $530,000, of which can we assume that the gas tax is going to be approximately the same this year?
It looks like on your sheet that it's going to be another $200,400.
So now we're looking for approximately $300,000 of the $900.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yes. But I see that we've already taken $232,000 for Cornerview Road. So Marcia, at the end of the year, we had $294,000.
That's right.
Okay, and if we take $232,000, then we're left with approximately $60,000. And then we added in the 200,000 from 2015, and we're left with,
About 260. Oh, looks like it's about, based on those numbers, about 260 uncommitted federal gas tax.
right. Now, you have here on you have 494,000 coming out. Was there something else that you were identifying on 2015 to come out of gas tax besides the corner view? I don't see anything on that sheet, but.
No, I guess not. I must have changed that then.
I can't see
no.
that, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I had originally put up some of that money into the Snake River line, but I had, when I just redid those sheets, I took it out. So I should have changed the sheet as well.
That's okay. Poor Marcia's been doing this overnight. So. Great job, by the way, Marcia. So yeah, we have about $260,000 left to earmark towards a project, and if you wanted that project to go to the Snake River line or to Grant Settlement Road, either or. I don't know how long it would be from Foresters Falls Road to Rafters Road. No, because we don't have it on there. Rafters is the first road on the right-hand side to go down to Wilderness Tours and owl rafting. When before? Yeah, it's not that far.
Is that where the traffic is concentrated, going in for the kayaking event?
Yeah, going in, but we should try and go further up. May I?
Yes.
We should try and go farther because the road is actually in the worst condition between Rapids Road and River Run. Up through that section.
So you're saying if we just do the railway crossing, which is really bad, there's I don't know, it's really bad up further towards the whole road is bad.
The whole road at that end is really bad.
Yeah. So most of the traffic traveling between the site and Wilderness Tours, who is the host, is going to go from Rafters Road out to the site down Ground Settlement Road. But to get to Wilderness Tours, they all come off of and owl rafting. It benefits both. It benefits the whole area down there. But definitely the railway crossing has to be done. You have to go down to about a 5-kilometer-an-hour driving because it's really bad. On the far end? That's what we're talking about.
It's in good shape. Colesmith.
Off of Colesmith. Well, it's not too bad. I guess the worst part starts at the railway crossing, right? Yeah. Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering, is the whole road right from one end to the other, 5 point?
No.
What? Okay. That's what it is, Grand Settlement Road.
It's going to be staged.
Is that one state? Oh, okay.
I believe that it's
backwards.
La Crosse Road in
Yep.
to the first
Okay.
road, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I knew it was a lot more than 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that part, that would be great, because that's the one I travel all the time.
So from Foresters Falls Road to Powers Road, which is basically where the put-in is,
Yes,
it's 13.2 kilometers.
that's the full. Okay.
Even if we just did the proposal of 5.478, we would probably cover the worst part of this end. The rest could be patched. That would get you past the put in at or the, takeout, sorry, at Blacks, I think, eh?
Where would you like to start though, right at Foresters Falls Road or at Rafting Road?
Maybe at the Stephen, at the,
Yeah. I think
not quite at the Forest Falls Road.
That's only a couple of hundred meters.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not sure, that's HL4, I think, from the county era. But if not, then it'd be from the county road would be my suggestion.
Yeah. Yeah. Councillor McLaughlin?
But I think it's going to be not a Black's Put Out. That's not where the event's being held. It's up at Lunch Spot,
Yes.
which is a lot further up than Black's Put Out. Black's Takeout is this past River Run.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the other section around those curves and further up. You're pretty nearly to Fletcher Road. You're past Fletcher Road.
Yes.
So that's where the event. So you need to go. If you wanted to do it, you'd have to go past a little piece of Fletcher Road. That's where all the traffic's going to be.
Yes. Councillor Mackay?
She's going to change it. She's getting confused. Is there any chance of getting any money for this road from the county? Because it is a big tourist draw, and they're always pushing tourism. There's no chance of that, eh?
When the county would have downloaded the road, there may have been, I'm not 100% sure, some dollar set aside at that time. But when they downloaded it, was quite a number of years ago. It was in reasonable shape at the time. It's just the traffic on it is so heavy, that it takes a beating. And it's not that wide.
Yeah.
So your sides are starting to crumble in, and it gets short.
Narrower.
Not as wide, narrow. That's the word I'm looking for. Mayor Johnson.
Bill, when you have on here scarify, we have two graders to scarify. Are you anticipating scarifying with our graders or pulverizing?
Which one?
Grant Wilman. The reason I'm asking is this is like quite inexpensive to scarify as opposed to
pulverizing, yeah.
Pulverizing it.
If it's HL4, it's got to be pulverized, right?
Correct. No, it's 3 years of double surface.
So we did Rapid Road like that a couple years ago, and this end, when we scarified it with the graders, it turned out terrible. And then last year when we did the Bromley line, we actually pulverized it, and it turned out 100% better because it broke it up a lot finer. So it's a case of look at how much coal patch is in the road already, how thick it is, and then make the decision from there. But I agree, it's a lot cheaper to do it with our own graders.
Most of the time, if you can get it broke up, and you're going to put probably a couple inches over it anyway. Yeah. As long as you repast after you break it, you don't have to worry about reflecting cracking through. And it will, like I say, it will. I've seen 4 layers of double surface street look quite chunky and still work real good after. Yep. So it just as a monetary thing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's enough difference, but I do agree. You could never do HL3, you just can't break it. Yeah. But that's all I just want to ask that.
Perfect. I think the biggest thing is what Martha's challenged with, and the township is challenged with when it comes to deciding which roads. If we throw in Snake River Line, and we're also looking at Grant Settlement Road, until we find out how much money we need to raise for taxation and how much we're willing to take out of reserves to cover those costs. So working capital, we have $900,000 in reserves. Some of that is coming out to cover some of the costs that are already in capital from 2014, and that depletes it down to about $838,000. Then we have the equipment replacement, which is there as well. Road purposes, it looks like we're really taking out $316,000 down to $156,000. So the $316,000 is what was already put aside.
That's right.
From 2014. So you're down to 156,000 for roads, and then you have your working capital of 838,000. So, can I safely say that, we've decided on several roads, St. Augustine, Rapid Road, Cornerview Road, and then the other two roads, Snake River Line and Grant Settlement Road, when we see how it's going to impact the taxation, that we can make a decision then. Is that fair to say? Because Snake River Line, you're looking at 462,000. I don't know how much of that we can take out of reserves, or how much taxation compared to last year that you actually took out of taxation for roads. If normally you take $500,000, or whatever, then your rate isn't going to go up. I don't know that Marcia's ready to kind of answer that question till she puts all the operating together, the capital requests that we have together, to determine what kind of levy increase we have at that time to see the actual impact. I don't know if you were here, but we had kind of set May the 13th as another budget meeting to talk, which is a Wednesday night, to talk about operating and that and taxes and I think that impact needs to be known before we make an actual. But I think, is there any other road, or are we kind of stuck with those roads and see how Grant Settlement Road and Snake River Line fare out? Hopefully not taking Snake River Line off again. Martha.
I just have a question there. So I just changed the sheet up there, but so I'm showing now Grant Settlement Road, but according to the study, we're obviously not doing the full Grant Settlement Road, because they're saying that is $974,000. So do we have an amount roughly, Bill, at this point that we can add in? Just nothing at this point?
I think that's something Bill's going to have to do a calculation as well. Take a look at culverts as well as your railway line, what needs to be done when you take it out, how far you have to dig down, and associate the $5,000 that was set aside for that, and come up with a number. But he's going to have to do, he's going to have to go out and measure and see
perfect.
what the impact is.
So is it safely to say then on the budget we're going to leave those ones for right now, when we present the budget, the operating side of it, because those are going to be under his capital, so we'll leave those in?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Is that good, everybody? Then we can get on to the other capital projects that are on the list. It's going much smoother. Woohoo!
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
No, we didn't. We haven't. Okay. The other line item that Mayor Johnson wants to speak about is Bromley Line. So we'd also have to look at Bromley Line. If you want just to add that, and when it comes down to the final decision, we can take that into consideration as well. So if you want to get an approximate cost as well, Bill, for a double surface street, is that what it is, or what is it?
Double surface street?
Double surface street, we've already installed the gravel, and all we need to do is find grade, so approximate cost $38,000 would be $283,000 to do that from one end to the other. My personal is that's priority.
Councillor McLaughlin.
I think before we make those decisions, we should look at traffic counts. That's my thoughts. We need to decide which roads are major roads and which ones are low traffic roads, and then at that point, but we can make that discussion later.
Yeah. I think when we bring up these three roads for further discussion on May the 13th, we'll have Bill and Martha will work on the numbers, and see what, if any, funding possibilities can come out of reserves, if any, and what the impact is for the taxation. Okay? Councillor Olmsted.
Quick question about the gas tax money. I assume you know what it can and cannot be used for?
Yes.
Can you describe that for me?
So roads, bridges, water, and sewer. So, and anything that relates to those items. you have to kind of report how the gas emissions are saved. So if you improve a road, I don't know, they have some calculation and so on reporting, and you just plunk in the numbers of 3.1 kilometers that you did, and it will tell you what your gas emissions saves. And if it's a truck, you're replacing an old truck to a new truck, it will tell you. Those are the types of things that they're looking for gas tax projects. Okay? Okay, so we'll start at the, Mark, do you want to start at this top?
Yes, everybody please grab their sheets that are highlighted in yellow. I know this is 2014 capital major projects. Okay, so basically in the administration building, last year we budgeted $11,500 to have a ladder installed on the side of the building here. We have the heating system up top, and we've had people come in and they don't want to get up there unless there's a safe ladder. So we've budgeted $11,500. It wasn't spent. So what we did was we transferred that to the working capital reserve. So we put that on the budget this year. Actually, it's already in the midst of being made right now. So that project will be off once it's done, and it will come out of the working capital reserve. Yes. Yeah. The next one is the building department.
Do you want to go to the iPads?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
The iPads, we've estimated to purchase iPads for council and staff, and that's an estimated cost of $10,000. We don't know how we're going to fund that right now, but the iPads will be for agendas. I guess, Charlene, you probably know more about how, because you use them at Laurentian Valley.
I would suggest that we take that rate of taxation, because it's going to be a direct cost from photocopying and travel, to deliver the agendas and that. So that can come right out of taxation, just like our photocopying costs are right now. Okay. Is my suggestion. Councillor Mackay?
What is the cost for putting the paper out, Patsy to deliver it? Do we have any cost on that?
Patsy gets charged, well, she charges us $35 each time she goes out and delivers an agenda, each time. So that could be if there's 4 meetings a month, 35 times 4.
$140.
Yeah, so she, not often we have 4 meetings a month, but, and she doesn't charge us gas, that's just in that set fee, which is really low. No, which is very low. Especially when she was driving out to Westminster.
And what about paper? If you did everything on the laptop, we still have to have paper, wouldn't we? No?
No.
Well, we're hoping to get away from that.
What does the paper cost for that? I'm just trying to figure the cost is.
Well, we get charged, our photocopier, we get a bill from Buskey's for every color paper that goes through that photocopier, every paper that gets printed on. So to purchase a box of paper is, was it $60, Danny? About $60 for the box of paper. And then I believe our last bill for the photocopier downstairs, because that's colored, it was about $3,000. But it tells you how much. Off the top of my head, I don't remember how many copies, but it specifically tells you because it counts them. How many copies were on color and how many copies were not on color. So it's about $3,000 bill.
Christine?
Yeah, and the big picture of our conversion to an electronic format, this is just the very first stage. This is the hardware. Your package would be emailed out to you. You'd be able to use your iPad to review your package before the meeting and then bring it to the meeting and work through the meeting. Eventually, we will be going to software that's compatible with the iPad, but that's down the road. This is just the first stage of our conversion. And certainly there are cost savings in terms of paper and delivery, et cetera. There will still be some paper, but certainly not of the magnitude that we're dealing with right now.
Councillor Holmes?
It was mostly along the same line of question that Councillor Mackay had about what are the potential savings.
Councillor Rager?
And I was just going to ask, so Laurentian Valley, if they're using this now, there would be some people in there that may have been hesitant at the start, right? Because not everybody is computer savvy, and I'm talking like, I don't want to say the older generation, but you know, there are some people that have no, so there would have to be, of course, training brought into all of this. But does every person in that council chamber use an iPad, or do you still have council members that are requesting paper?
So last year we had Mayor Wilson and Councillor Sheedy that still wanted the paper copy.
Right.
They, however, would come to council meeting with just their iPad. So they felt comfortable maybe reading at first, and now Councillor Sheedy, I think he's kind of indicated that he is almost ready to give up the paper copy. So, and he can use, he has, of course, at home with him, he's got some grandkids there that happen to live there 3 or 4 days a week, and they help out immensely, and of course we have a staff member that helps out. But yes, absolutely, everybody would have to be trained on it. I think once we go to iPad, the ideal situation would be is that you would have a printed copy of the agenda beside you at council, and of just the agenda items, and then you'd be able to scroll through. It would be a PDF version of all of the paperwork, and you can, you know, make it larger, make it smaller. There's all kinds of things that you can do with the iPad. I've also asked Christine just to see if there's an ability to add Apple TV to this projector, because then the Wi-Fi can pick up, as long as the two are connected to the same Wi-Fi, then they can project right onto the screen without having any wire hookup. And cost of Apple TV is about $100. So if it can go into that machine, then that would be helpful as well. When staff comes up and does any presentation, it just would bring their iPad up and Wi-Fi, and then they'd be able to, then everybody in the audience would also be able to see it. So at Laurentian Valley, there's always, everything's on the screen. The agenda gets up there at the first of the meeting, and then every report gets put up on the screen, and we just go through every report. It's great when you have planning maps, because we can zoom right into where the issue is, and we can have color. There's no cost to the photocopier. It's all right up there, and then everybody in the audience gets to see it. So it's been wonderful, and we've had great reviews. Once you're on it, it is, and the reason why I suggested to staff is start with the iPads and then go to the software program, because they're going to have to do a number of things to get to that point. They have to do a new filing system as well at some point, and that's going to take some time, because with this iCompass software program for agendas, you need to have everything filed in one place so that the person that's putting the agenda package together can easily pick up all the items and file them accordingly. And then it also hooks up to your website. So it's one posting. When you post it to the iPads, it also gets posted directly to your website, the agendas. And then it's numerous savings.
I agree.
It's a fabulous system, and I'm really glad LV has it.
Yeah.
Councillor Mackay.
I have an iPad at home, and we get the emails good, but everybody has an iPad, and you're going to deal with problems with every iPad, with batteries, with repairs, and then what does it cost for the program to get that whole program going? I just don't mean right now the agenda and sending it to you. I mean, when you get into that software, what's that whole thing going to cost?
The iCompass program to purchase is quite expensive. It's about $15,000 to $18,000, and but it's also cost savings. You have to look at it as far as the IT section of it when you look at posting to the website. So staff time savings with regards to posting to the website, having it available, meeting those accessibility issues, all of that. So it's accessibility, compliance. It, like I said, once you post it in one place, it automatically will post everywhere. You send out one email to say that, you know, it's updated. If I have an iPad and they update an agenda, when I turn my iPad on, it says the agenda has been updated, and you just go right there. I've had this iPad for 2 years. I have another iPad at home that my husband now uses, who is totally computer illiterate, and he has had it for about 3 years now, and there has been no issues with regards to servicing it. You want to make sure that you get your warranty as well to offset any of the warranty issues that you may or may not have. I think $10,000 is a high price, because I think she's planning on 7 council and 3 staff at this point. So the iPad itself is worth about $500-600, and but that also gives them enough room to cover the warranty package as well.
The keypad.
Christine.
Yeah, when we get into the software side of this next year, we do not have an IT department. It is not a particular strength of mine. I know at Laurentian Valley you have Kayla, who started off as a student. She's young, she has considerable IT skills. As we move forward, I am fully expecting that we're going to have to purchase some tech support, because we don't have that bench strength in-house.
Yeah, and I think Kayla has learned as she's gone. She's very patient. She's very patient with all of staff, teaching them the different programs and trying to figure it out. She still does work with an IT company or person that we contract if there's any issues with regards to that she can't identify, and she searches and but yeah, there certainly is going to be some work with regards to that to get it up and running, you know, to get the program on. But to go PDF first, it will certainly give us a good taste, and maybe we never want to spend and go to the full iCompass project and just do PDF. But iPads are certainly the best way to go. If you get a tablet, then you worry about viruses. If you just get the iPad, then you don't have viruses to contend with. Councillor Olmsted?
Marcia, the $3,000 figure you quoted earlier from photocopying, is that an average monthly bill?
No, that's probably about 2 to 3 months. But don't forget, we do a lot with the tax bills. We print them all here. Water bills, we print them all here. The news, the ones that go out in the taxes, we print them all here. So we do print a lot. We also offer support to community groups, the Historical Society, Muskrat Watershed Council. So we do other printing as well.
Mr. McCall?
Just working out that if, say it comes out as $300 a month for paper and delivery, that's 700 deliveries to pay for the iPad and the software. She can come to our house 700 times. Little chit chat, friendly face, just saying.
We've saved, we saved between $1,500 and $2,000 per quarter.
Whoa.
Okay, do you want to vote on each item, or do you want to vote at the end, or how would you like to do this? Any suggestions? Mayor Johnson?
These items, we could vote on them individually.
Okay, so the ladder is already earmarked, and now we're down to the iPad. Is council in favor or not in favor of going to the iPad? Councillor Olmsted?
Can somebody actually come here and give us a quick demonstration of it? Would that be logical?
I can.
Or you can? That'd be great.
And it's too, like,
I don't mean right now.
no. And at any time, if any of the councillors want to come to Laurentian Valley and see the full-blown version of iCompass, I know Kayla and I would be happy to walk anybody through that. and the filing system, how everything's filed sort of thing. You're more than welcome to come, you know, most days. There are a few days that aren't acceptable, but for the most part, we're pretty much open. But it would have to be individual, because we can't throw it up on the screen. That's the only thing. At Laurentian Valley, we can throw it up on the screen because we have the Apple TV. I strongly suggest going to at least the PDF to start, and then you'll get a good way of knowing how that works. It also gives you the ability to get your emails on the iPad. As long as everybody has wireless at their homes, then they have the ability to get on to the iPad. And that would be a must. That you have, and everybody has the internet at their home, but it has to be wireless. Does everybody get wireless? Yep. Okay.
I just have to tell you something that I spent a lot of time in hockey rinks this year, a lot of time in hotel rooms this year with my son, and I brought this because I didn't want to bring all the paper when I looked at the agendas. So I would just read it from Danny's email to me. So having a smaller iPad, I think, would be great, because you can take that anywhere and look at it anytime. It's in your purse.
I agree.
Yeah.
I took mine over to Europe when I did my European tour this past summer, and I replied to all my emails from work or forwarded them on. I know you're not supposed to do that when you're on vacation, but I do that. I was gone for 4 weeks, so I felt the need that every night when I logged in, it was easier than to have 1,000 emails at the end of my vacation. And I had no problem getting on wireless anywhere I went. It was absolutely wonderful.
I don't have wireless at home, but can you tether your phone to your iPad?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So it would be...
So there's options if you
Yeah.
don't have wireless. Yeah.
Yeah. Steal your neighbors. Okay, so... Councillor McLaughlin?
Oh, no, I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
I put it up here.
How about we vote on iPad? All in favor? Awesome. Thank you.
And
So-
through taxation, we'll put
And through taxation. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to the next item, Martha.
Okay, this one's under the building department. How Mayor Johnson had suggested this, and actually it was a great suggestion. We had somebody come in and price out just a little seating area over there against the wall, having them come in and build a desk with some drawers so that Doug can put all of his maps out there, and when people come in to his office, they're not spread out on his tiny little desk. Now they'll come up. It's professional and it looks good, and it's all going to be there now. So we did get a price on that, and that will go through Doug's budget.
And there's one other point too. At the moment, the maps sit in a hanging rack. You may have seen it downstairs. There's no place for it except right in front of the emergency exit. There's nowhere else for it to go. So this would solve a number of problems.
Councillor Olmsted?
So you're saying all that stuff will be transferred up here, and that would be housed up here, as well as they could bring in their own plans and
Yes.
spread them out?
Yes.
Thank you.
And this desk is wide enough for actual plans. When you open up your plans, it's wide, so lots of room.
Are we ready to vote? All in favor? You wanted to say something?
I'm in favor of something that it needs to be a plan table.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
all,
in favor.
Okay, so that'll come out of taxation as well. Fun and easy. So then we go to the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that were earmarked for 2014. Do we need to discuss those, or we're just going to go ahead because the money was put in the reserve, it'll come out of reserves? Councillor Olmsted.
Yeah, just a quick question. I see, got my numbers right here, $163,000 as the totals. And then I see $203,000 withdrawal.
hold on. Lost you here.
Yeah, in reserve for fire purposes. Under 2015 reserves, showing 203. Is that just
Yes. No, that's right. So for the equipment, we'll be withdrawing $163,550 out of reserves, and then building maintenance for the fire, They want to repair their training room, which they already earmarked. Actually, sorry, this should have been over here. 30,000, just one second here. 10,000. And that was already earmarked last year to come out of reserves, so it will be coming out of reserves. So that's all fire. So 163, 55, 40. Yeah. Now, the only one that is not, we need to discuss is what they would like to do this year is pave the yard at the fire hall in Forsters Falls, and that's $20,000.
I get a lot of older people who go there to the drop-in center, and it's rough.
Yes.
It's very rough. And they've asked me, I said, I didn't know we were going to do it, so I said, well, maybe we could grade it or something. But if we could pave it, it'd make it a lot better for them.
That's what they want to do in the budget, yes.
It gets used quite a bit.
Yes.
And the Westmeath fire truck?
The Westmeath fire truck, that is an unfinanced purchase that they did over 3 years. So he just earmarks that as coming out of his reserves.
His reserves. Because then that will bring us down to about 46,000? Or is that, is the 203 inclusive of the,
yes.
Yes. Okay, I see that now.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Councillor Olmsted.
Can we also take the $20,000 for the paving out of the reserve? Because they, after all that, they still have $126,000.
You guys.
I would suggest that maybe once we get to, we can do that. We do the project, and then once we find out how the impact of the taxation is, then if it's going to impact the taxation, then take it out of reserves, but kind of leave that up for discussion when we get down to the tax rates. So then we can make that decision then. Like, do the project, but just how we finance it. Do we do it at taxes? Do we do it at reserves? Councillor McLaughlin.
I could direct this one to Bill, because they're looking at Beachburg and they're going to pave in front of the fire hall. Were you going to put that in, work it in with St. Augustine as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's where my thoughts were.
Good thought. Are we ready to vote on the fire items? Yeah. So the only one that will be up in the air with regards to funding, not the actual project, is the Forsters Falls paving of the parking lot. Okay? All in favor of all those projects? Very good. Ooh, moving right along.
Okay, so the next one is the roads.
Which we've so we can just jump right over.
So we can jump over that one.
Yay!
Yeah, we're going to talk about equipment. Calcium tank was put in the budget last year, wasn't purchased, put the money in reserves. Now last year the cost was $25,000, now it's going to be $30,000. So $25,000 will come out of reserves, so we have a $5,000 that we got to figure out how we're going to fund that.
I would say that we fund that out of taxation for now and see where that ends up. Councillor McLaughlin.
I just think this is a priority that we need to do this job.
Absolutely.
To get this calcium tank, because we've been turning roads back to gravel, and so we have to have our own way of putting calcium on. We've been looking at this for 3 or 4 years, and I think we need to go forward and get it done.
Well, yes, absolutely, we have to move forward. It's just $5,000 portion of it, whether or not it comes out of taxes or it comes out of further out of reserves, and we can kind of, when we find out the impact, we can make that. Councillor Olmsted.
So maybe a question for the Public Works Supervisor. I assume there's a cost savings to this as well. Would there be a cost savings that we're not going to continually outsource calcium?
The thing with doing calcium is everybody wants to do it at the same time of year on the same days. So when we looked at doing our own tank, what we would do is our supplier would set up a depot in our yard, and then say Sunday night the truck would come in with a load of calcium, drop it into our bulk tanks. So then Monday morning, if the weather's good, we can go out and grade, and once we've got enough road ready, we can go and put the liquid down right away. You have to book calcium trucks usually about 2 weeks in advance. Some of them are already starting to be booked now. At this point, I don't know when the roads are going to be ready yet. I could book them now and then put them off. But then also if we book a load, say Sunday night, Tuesday, Thursday, if the truck gets here and the graders have enough road ready, they could go with the big truck and just spread it. So and we had looked at using it for as well as a water truck. At one time we even looked at it being able to haul some of the sludge from the sewer plant. So it was going to be a multi-use piece of equipment, not just a single source. So it'll save money and time. It'll be a convenience for us as well. That's the reason we were looking at doing this. It's just the more convenience, possibly save us some money, but more for the convenience. And also, it could be a cost savings where once our guys get onto it and they know what roads need more or what roads need less, where when the contractor comes in, he just spreads it at, say, 5 kilometers an hour, whereas our guys can say, oh no, this year it looks pretty good there, we can step it up to 10 and, maybe use less. That sort of a deal.
Where do you store the calcium?
We would set up a depot at the Ross Yard, and the company that's supplying the calcium would supply us with the tank to hold it.
They would supply it at no cost?
At no cost. That would be worked into the price of the
cost
tender,
of the
basically.
Calcium.
Yeah.
Ready? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. All those in favor of the calcium tank? Yep. Good. And now the 2 trucks. Bill, you might have to come back up. I say no for the 2. Compressed.
That's why you ran off.
I know. Mayor Johnson.
Can we not still on this year, on next year?
We've been putting off buying trucks now since 4 years ago.
I realize that.
So I just put in, I'm trying to replace 2 trucks that are over 20 years old. So absolutely, we can do anything we want. We don't have to buy any trucks this year. I have them now, so I can keep going with what I have. It's just the costs are getting crazy up there for someone.
I firmly believe we need one, but I think one this year, one next year would be prudent.
Whatever. I just put it out there. It's my wish list.
Councillor Olmsted.
So again, for those of us not in the industry like you 2 guys, can you just explain, I assume it's a plowed truck, but is it capable of more duties than plowing?
Yeah, it's plowing, hauling gravel. Not efficiently hauling gravel, but yes. Maintenance, yes.
Okay.
Fully set up plow truck.
And what would the cost to maintain one of these trucks now on average?
Our repair bills were down last year a little bit, but overall I think I was around 180,000 in repairs last year.
Wow.
So as for each
For all your
that's
stuff?
everything, yes, for all of it. Now we did it a couple years ago, anywhere from 20 to 30,000, like on some of the older trucks is what the repair bill is. Yeah.
Christine?
It's not there.
Thank you. I'd just like to float this idea out there. In time, I think it would be very prudent of us to work towards a fleet replacement policy, so that each time we have this issue, we're not starting from the conversation from ground zero, that we have determined, plows turn over every 5, 10, whatever years, half tons turn over every 3, 4 years, wherever the economics land, so that we get the best vehicle, we get our best dollar value for our fleet. That's a long-range goal of mine.
Councillor Olmsted, then Mayor Johnson.
So I see on the reserve sheet there's $636,000 in 2014, and again, there's nothing coming out of 2015. So there's a chance that we could do one of these easily with no adventure whatsoever. Or am I wrong in thinking that's equipment replacement?
Where's that, Chris? Sorry?
The 3rd line down.
On the reserve.
Oh, sorry, okay, yeah.
Reserve for equipment replacement, we have $636,000 sitting there.
Yep, there is.
How many trucks do we actually have? How many snowplows? 7. So, and what are the newest, like what years are we looking at for those ones as well?
We start at 94 and go to 2010. I think the newest truck is a 2010. So what I was suggesting was replacing a 94 and a 95 truck.
Okay. Mayor Johnson?
I shy away from buying 2 trucks in 1 year for a secondary reason, and that's when they start to go bad on a purchasing plan. If we face them, we replace them on a face value. That's my biggest concern.
It would be nice to get 1 truck a year, like, ideally, if you've got, 7 trucks and they last, 7 to 10 years or more. I think we've got ours on a rotation of about 12 years, and at least it spreads it out, 1 every 2 years even, would be better, but you're faced with some old equipment right now that are 20 years old. I tend to agree with Mayor Johnson with regards to just doing 1. You can debenture for pieces of equipment. The only problem is then if you start debenturing for that, you might have some road projects that you're going to need to debenture for, because you can use that. I don't know, do you have any debentures against the general levy right now?
We have the greater debenture right now.
And how many years is that for, do you know?
I can go get it. It's just in my office there.
Sorry.
So, no, that's okay. Just give me a second. Maybe you can just go get that. Just explain to them this sheet they received that there is your projected of what other vehicles need to be replaced.
Perfect.
Yeah, some of the ages are wrong on them, but I have 3 years out. Of course, that changes year to year as problems go on. But yeah, we can drop back to 1 truck this year. That's fine. Doesn't matter. At least it's 1.
Do you have a preference over which one? The 94 or the 95 in a better? And it's just a guess.
Depends on what you're spending on it on a yearly basis.
And maybe
one of the cab money is the easiest question. Did 1 cab this year? If not, then it's a hard decision.
Well, they're both right on the edge. One, the box is just about done. The other one, the frame's starting to go.
2000 and so the truck 9 and truck 10 both had new boxes put on them at one time and not replaced the trucks.
Yeah.
And the Ford is the oldest, I believe.
And a single frame.
Yeah.
Could we say that we're going to do 1 this year and do a tender at late 2014, December 2014 for delivery early 2015 it is, early delivery 2016?
That's what we talked about doing last year and never got done.
Okay.
If we're going to do it, I'd like to do it soon to have it delivered by snow season.
Right. And then as well, do 1, yes, I know, do 1 late in 2015 fall of November, December, with a purchase of January, February. Christine?
Thank you. And that would be the beginning then of our fleet policy.
Yeah.
And once we get budget out of the way and Bill's busy summer season in the fall, Bill, you and Marcia and I can sit down, do an analysis of the repair bills, et cetera, and costs to run and figure out where the logic is in our, and once you get a fleet replacement policy in place, then you're taking the pain out of all of these discussions because we know that every X number of years things get changed out.
Yep. Councillor Olmsted?
So I assume these trucks would be the same truck, these 2 trucks would be the exact same vehicle, or they'd be a little bit different?
They're both different.
I mean the ones that you want to buy.
To replace.
Oh, yes.
They'd be the same
The 2
truck.
trucks would be the same.
So would there be a benefit of when you put the tender out there, staggering the dates in and saying we have 1 coming this year, 1 coming next year?
You could do that.
probably a cost savings of some sort.
Cost savings on the tender, cost savings on, maybe overall purchase of 2 pieces of equipment, just staggering the delivery dates. Yep. Mayor Johnson.
One late this year, one early next year on 2 different budgets is all right. If you can put a tender out to carry over, but not very often, because of the complicated equipment, not very often do they give you any cut on anything. It's almost the whole truck is just a big bundle of steel, and it pretty much depends on the day they're going to, if they have a tender, it's the day that they hand the tender in what steel is worth, makes the biggest difference. So I never found trying it on 2 ever worked any different. You can ask the question, that's not a bad deal, but just if we do it, we should just go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Olmsted.
You can even actually just manipulate the terms on it. So say, one's delivered October this year, next one, and we'll pay for it up front. Next one, we need 90 days payment terms, so it does flip into your new year. So
The only thing is that for finance, well, it would be unfinanced at the end of 2015 for financial statements as that goes, because if you receive it, you have to record it in the year you receive it, and it would just sit unfinanced. And I know our auditors just...
But it can be accrued, right? There's usually, when you do budgets, there's an accrual. So
Yeah.
you can just accrue for 2016.
Right, but it sits as an unfinanced in 2015. Which, I mean, if we have plans on paying for it, the auditors aren't too bad, but sometimes they get a little excited. I know.
But Chris, are you saying order 2 trucks in a tender and have one as a delivery date of October and one as January 1st, 2016? Then it would be paid for at that time?
Typically, you can do 2 things. You can say, yes, I want the staggered deliveries, or you can say, I want them both delivered in September, but I want payment terms on the second truck. So I want 120 days, no interest on the second truck.
It's probably going to increase your costs, because there won't be any cost savings of doing 2. Yeah. That's a truck, and there's millions of them sold every day. There's not millions snowplows sold every day. I hear you. Mayor Johnson.
It just also, all plow trucks are custom built to the truck. So it's not like they don't actually build 6 of them the same. Usually, unless the city of all orders 6 and Trail Place orders 4. But you can certainly do what you're saying. But I think my feeling I would rather see it I still would rather see it 2 different years, 2015, 2016, in that when we go to rotate the next time, we're looking at a year of difference in productivity, because there will be changes between a 2015 and a 2016, hopefully in fuel mileage.
Mm-hmm.
And the big deal that we're looking at now that we need to really look at is the type of engines we're getting. We really have to shy away from the crazy stuff for lean burn and all that stuff. It's quite a little deal now.
Yeah, I would agree with Mayor Johnson. I'm sure Bill will say as well. They're custom built for the order, so the truck will basically be the same, and then your box goes on. Your box may come from a different place. Your plow itself is going to come from a different place, and depending on who tenders what, sometimes Viking will tender for it, and then they, it's crazy how it all combines, but it all is very customizable.
I think it's worthwhile looking at, because if that is exactly what you're saying, if you've been in business, you'd understand that it's cheaper to ship 2 plows on a truck than 1. It's cheaper to ship 2 boxes on a truck than 1. So that there is cost savings in looking at in multiple units. No different than building homes, whatever. It's cheaper to build on a per home basis. It's cheaper to build 10 at a time than it is to build 1 at a time. So if these are truly customizable, I think it's worth looking at more than 1 unit, not pay for it as 2015. Don't get me wrong.
Mayor Johnson.
I agree. Oh, come on. I agree, that's what we're looking at. The procedure that they do, and this won't change what you're saying, likely, to understand it. If I get a truck from Navistar will send that to whoever the successful bidder was, and then that bidder will take that truck and physically drive it to where they're going to get the custom-made box. That will be fitted, and then it will be driven to where they're going to put the plow on. Then all of that will be driven back, and then we pay it's really the truck manufacturer dealer that we pay, and then he pays the other people. But that's how they do it. They drive it around, and then it's if there's any possibility that they would go for that, we'd be remiss not to check into it. But that question can be asked, and those people will tell you right away if they're willing to, budget purposes. If we had two of them, how much would we save? It's just a phone call. That's worth doing.
And maybe, Bill, that's something that you could possibly do before the May 13th meeting, is find out whether or not, if we order two, and pay for them both this year, or have them delivered both this year, is one option. Would there be cost savings? Just call maybe a couple of the companies to see if they have ever done that. And I guess the other option is like Councillor Olmsted has suggested, is if we get them both delivered, we pay for one in 2016, we pay for one now. The other thing is we could always take it out of reserves now and then put it back into reserves in 2016, or finance it or whatever. But ask them for a couple of different options to see if that's possible, and then bring it back, and then we can make those decisions on May the 13th. How's that? All in favor of doing that? Okay. Okay, now we're at Westmeath Sandome.
I just wanted, did you want the information on the debenture for the grader excavator?
Yes, please, thank you.
Okay, so we have a grader excavator debenture. It was $509,000, just a little over $509,000. The annual interest rate was, is 1.93%, a term over 5 years. We got that debenture in 2013, and it ends in 2018. So we pay a yearly payment of $108,315.49. That will be coming out of the roads budget for 2015.
And I think those rates are pretty close to what they are now, for a 5-year. And that's the only debenture that we have against the general fund. There's no office, there's no...
Just the solar panel.
Just the solar panels, and we're receiving enough revenue to cover the cost of that.
Actually,
So that's good. Okay. Sandome.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here on the whole conversation of, because I had to go get did I miss anything for the payment?
Yeah, they're gonna let me order two.
No, I stopped heard, but
Bill's going to make a phone call to see if there could be cost savings, and what kind of financing options they would be interested in. And I'm going to bring it back to May 13th and make that final decision.
Okay, thank you. And the other one is the Sandome, and that is out in Westmeath. And we budgeted that in 2014, $80,000. Now the project is $120,000, and we raised the money in taxation for that one. And so we put that money into reserves. So and now we have to come up and find how we're going to fund the difference of $40,000. And I believe it went up due to the steel.
So over the last couple of years, we've been trying to get this project going. Last year, we found out that some of the structural wasn't up to par, so we got an engineer in to make sure that it would be safe, because some of the steel struts had actually broke off the cement piers. So we had an engineer come in, drop a bracket. So he said, here, take this to your structural welder. We took it to the structural welder. The structural welder came out and said, this only looks after the bottom. If the bottom's as bad, what does the top look like? I don't want to do anything until we can check the top. So this is, a custom-built tarp as well. We're getting up into numbers where it's getting almost to the same price as a new dome or a new coverall building, so, you know, I don't know if we should go with an RFQ or RFP. Here's what we have, a problem. Plus, the dome doesn't hold enough material anymore to get us through the winter. After, well, this year it did, but last year and the year before it didn't. They have to pile some outside every fall, use that up first. So we're getting near the point, and this dome is what, 35 years old, I would put it at, eh? Yeah, so it's on the line right now. It's around the same costing, or getting close to, for just,
Well, we have to, you gotta take down the cement too and rebuild and start again?
yeah.
Okay. For 120.
Well, something down, that's just a daily, you know, or maybe we could get somebody to come in for the scrap steel out of it to remove it. There is quite a bit of steel in that structure, but we don't know yet. That's the problem. We still haven't gotten up top to check what the up above is like.
Councillor Olmsted?
So if that's 35 years old, that was in before amalgamation,
Absolutely.
and probably doesn't meet our needs for today's quantities.
That's part of what, yeah.
So would it be advisable from you to put an RFP out?
I think that's what we should do, is look at going that route, and then at that point, if a company can come in and say, you know, no, we can fix it for, you know, maybe even 80,000, then we go that route. Or if they say, no, it's going to be, you know, maybe my numbers are even off, and they're going to come in and say it's going to be 200,000 to cover it and fix up the structural problems, well, that doesn't make sense then, right? So
I think an RFP is probably the wisest thing.
I believe so.
I know in Lawrenceville we're looking at replacing a sand dome, and we're going to put in a bigger sand dome. So we're doing our whole garage, and we're looking at 300,000 to replace. But that's more of not a round building; it's more of a rectangular one, so you can put actually more.
It's a rectangular one. Is it a coverall structure, or is it?
I kind of think so, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, and it's got to cover your whole township now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not in favor of going ahead with this until we do an RFP.
Till we find out more information. Yep.
Now, that's going to take time, so.
Yep. It all takes time.
Is it reasonable then to think about leaving the number in?
We can leave it in, and we can discuss it again on May 13th. How's that? But now, the difference between an RFQ, you've said, and an RFP. An RFQ is you're just requesting quotes, and there's no real liability to the township that we don't have to go ahead with the project. And an RFP, you don't have to either, but there is more of a liability to the township that if you do an RFP, that you actually have to go ahead with the project. An RFQ, you should go ahead with the project. An RFQ, you don't. So I would suggest an RFQ just to even get an idea of what the costs are going to be. Request for quote instead of, you know, what's request for information? I like that too. Okay, so we'll put that one aside for now. Now, $80,000 was set aside into reserve, so that will stay in reserve until we make that decision whether or not to replace it as a whole or just to fix it, to repair it. Okay.
Last year, $35,000 was raised in taxes, and $45,000 was to come out of reserves for that one. So then we'll just put the whole 80 back in.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Go on to building maintenance.
And that's still Bill.
You're not getting away.
This is for the garage doors that were budgeted in 2014, as well as some heating repairs at Mindview and just various repairs and painting at Mindview. That wasn't done. So what we did was that amount was raised in taxation, so we put that back into reserves, but we'll put that back on the budget for this year.
All those in favor? Next item,
Okay.
tourist booth.
Yes, the tourist booth.
So is Bill done?
You can go now.
I think Bill is done. Thank you, Bill.
All done.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, the tourist booth, we would like to see that completely revamped, basically. New bathrooms, accessible bathrooms, an accessible ramp, a new deck. That would be a new roof over the deck. Last year, we put aside $5,000 to get the drawings done for it. And what we did was we raised that $5,000, I believe, just let me double check here. Yes, we raised that in taxation. So we put that into reserves. We were just actually last year looking at maybe just redoing the bathrooms to make it more accessible. Now we want to redo the whole look of it, which comes in at an estimate of about $65,000. So $60,000 is a project that we would like to see done. Steve might be able to give you any more details on that.
Mayor Johnson and then Steve.
This is an area where the Civitan Club has quite an investment in it. Did we approach them to see if they're willing to contribute to that $60,000?
No, we have not.
Yeah, let's approach them and see what they'd be willing to do.
And the 60,000
in its entirety for them.
Yes, the 65,000 is just an educated guess on my part. It'd have to be tendered. It could come in lower. It could come in $40,000 higher. Then we have to make a decision. But with the amount of people that go through that visitor center, the deck is old. It's rotting. It's canted. The bathrooms need work in a bad way. So if you're going to tackle those issues, you better bring it up to snuff with accessibility as well. So you're talking accessible washroom and accessible front door. The deck has to be, usable by a wheelchair. So it's in my opinion, it's money well spent. That is a beautiful park, and there's a lot of people that go through there.
It's also, and I'm sure you all know this, our campground, and the bathroom and the shower it's pretty grim right now. So, for a multitude of reasons, and really, it's our front door. It's the first stop for an awful lot of visitors from all over the world.
Yeah, I agree. It does get well used, well utilized.
But it has been a project from the Civitan have spent a lot of money there, and I just feel it would be well worth our time just to contact them in case they would like to showpiece it also.
Yeah. So maybe that's something that you can find out between now and May 13th.
Yes.
To determine what, if anything, they'd be willing to put towards that. They may, put half. Who knows? I don't know what kind of funds they have. Okay, all in favor of that? Waiting. Okay. Thank you. Dredging.
So do I just put that then into the taxation, or just we'll talk about that later?
Yeah, at this point I would say in your first column you put the 65, and then 60, and then 5. So you don't lose the total cost.
Yeah.
And as well as the dredging, the first column, 50. Yep.
I did that one already when you weren't looking.
Perfect.
Yes. So the dredging is $50,000. We that was in our 2014 budget as well. That didn't get done, so we put that money to the reserves, and actually that would be in the working capital reserves.
In 2014 there was interest expressed from former Councillor Trim with respect to dredging that water course for boaters. I proceeded to do a permit application with respect to altering a water course with MNR. They reviewed the project and they recommended it go to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, federal. It's been on DFO's desk for a long time. With respect to the $50,000, like the tourist booth, it's an educated guess. My gut tells me it's not even going to touch it. This DFO, I have spoken with them. They've already told me how I will be narrowing the channel by half already if they give it approval, and how we will be using silk curtains. The material is going to have to be trucked off-site to some destination. I would suggest that $50,000 is not even going to touch it. So be prepared if DFO does decide to give me approval to do it. This will be a major expense.
Mayor Johnson?
I would doubt if you haven't been 5 years trying to get the permit, I would doubt you would get it this year. And they do have the docks. The intention is actually for light craft at that dock and the heavier craft at La Paz. We certainly can't touch it until we get the Oceans and Fisheries.
Yeah. Stephen?
Could I suggest that, I'm not sure if this is doable, but could we take that $50,000 and put it towards the tourist booth?
Yep, we could do that. So that's one option that, when we come back on May 13th, depending on what they offer. The problem is what are we going to do when and if dredging is approved? Yeah. So if we use that $50,000 towards the tourist booth, then we're out the $50,000 on the dredging, just so you know that. So has the application gone in and they haven't said when they're going to reply? Okay. Councillor Regier.
Ask Steve when the last time you may have been in contact with them, or is there a possibility you could get in contact with them and see where that's sitting?
Yes, I can. I spoke with them. They're out of Brampton, and I spoke with them over the winter. And that's when I was informed that my proposed channel of dredging will be reduced by 50%, and how we're going to use silk curtains. And so, they're kind of warning me if we do go ahead, if they do permit it to go ahead, it's going to be a well-oiled machine or process the way it's going to work. And the silt removed will be trucked off-site. That puts the cost up.
Councillor Mackay.
Well, maybe it would be just too expensive. Maybe we just have to scrap it or just leave it as it is. Because at some point, there must be a point we just say, no, can't do it.
It's very expensive. I know Laurentian Valley was involved in the planning of the bridge going from the province of Ontario over to Quebec, and what they had to do with regards to ensuring that none of the bottom of the river was disturbed, and they had to put in certain places, and if at all, if any of that silt or soil in the bottom of the river was disturbed, there was going to be dire consequences. So they were only allowed to do the section, if they were putting a pillar in, there was a certain perimeter around that they were allowed, for that pillar, and nothing else was to be disturbed. And if it went downstream, then they had to clean it up. It's quite the process. Christine.
Yeah, Oceans and Fisheries is notoriously strict and notoriously slow.
Okay. Sewer treatment plant, we've already discussed the cast-in-place project, and I see that the RFP has gone out. Saw that. So we go on to the crawler loader.
Yeah, and the crawler loader was unfinanced. So Steve has it in his budget in the landfill, in the capital side of it, to pay out $118,000 for the crawler loader. So, yes, sorry, half of it was paid last year.
And the 118 was to be paid this year. How was it paid last year, out of taxation or out of reserves?
Yes.
Out of your reserves?
Yeah.
So basically out of the user fees of the waste site. So when we look at the waste site, you've got a lot of reserves. Where would the waste site end up? Waste management, second from the top. So you have 54,000 left in reserves. And I'm sure you have all kinds of ideas to spend that 54,000.
No, I put it towards the machine.
Yeah.
You would put the full 54 against the machine and then raise the rest in taxation?
Well,
I put $25,000 in reserves in waste management every year. I have for the past 27 this year. So, regardless of how it's paid for, I'm still wanting to put $27,000 in the reserves this year as well.
Right. But that leaves us with 54 in total. There was 27 remaining last year. And then there's no 27 this year, it's 54.
Okay, yes.
Christine and Councillor Mackay?
Will that pay it off then?
No.
118?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just something to bear in mind too. I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, we have about 20 years left in the lifespan of our waste site. We will never be allowed to open another one. We would have to look forward now, way down the road, to a transfer station, which is very expensive, and that's why we're planning for the future, long-range planning, putting money away every year, because sooner or later it's coming. It's just a long way off, but blink twice and it'll be here.
I'll be dead. I'll be 83. I'm going to be dead.
Okay.
Hoping for it anyways.
But yeah, it is something that has to be looked at, and I agree. Then there's, a monitoring that has to be done to the waste sites once they're closed, and there's costs associated with that. It definitely has to be budgeted for. I mean, there's 54,000 out of reserves. We can take that out, and the rest has to come out of taxation.
Okay.
And then, pardon me? Of the user fees, general revenue, so you don't separate your user fees from your taxation? No. So we can say it comes out of user fees? Sure. But it's actually out of the general revenue. The waste site goes into the general revenue. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is what we presented to you in the water budget this morning. It's a $30,000 Beachburg Aquifer study.
And we've dealt with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that will come out of the Ottawa River Power Corp.
Yep. Is there anything else that we need to discuss?
Not at the moment, unless
I'm
think
good.
of something.
I think very well done, Marcia. This is her first budget. So we've got May the 13th. She'll be able to bring it all together. And again, my services are offered.
Thank
if
you
you require a look-see or any information, do not hesitate to call. I'll be more than happy to help. Okay. Other than that, I think we can call this meeting, we can adjourn this meeting at 2:25. I'm very impressed. Thank you. Very good job.